Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker. Check this out, y'all. In the last episode, I told y'all how Steven had manipulated his way all the way to the top. Now he's the nine on the whole compound. But look here, y'all. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You hear what I'm saying? Heavy is the head that wears the crown. He did not realize that he would have to have contact with so many different people in a way that where it would call for him to have to make deals, make agreements, have understanding. He would not always get his own way. And what he learned is that he was not really ready for this position. But nonetheless, he learned like a lot of people on the job and he became really good at it. And over the next 10 years, you know what I'm saying, he maintained this spot. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this spot and how timing timing played a part in him becoming, you know what I'm saying, ultimately that number one G in the state, right? But look here, y'all. Keep on listening, right? Because I'm trying to tell y'all real talk now. I'm trying to tell y'all how it can go down. Not necessarily saying that this has happened to every individual that I know that ascended to the top, because I know some brothers that, you know what I'm saying, kept it thorough, kept it 100 as far as the G code is concerned, right? But not all of them do. Not all of them do. But what I will say is that all of them understand that the lifestyle is a cannibalistic lifestyle. And to keep in mind, like I told you in the last couple of episodes, that, you know, that line of manipulating brothers, it teaches them, you know, those up under you, it teaches them that this is about survival of the fittest. And part of the tools, you know what I'm saying, that you can use to survive in that type of environment is lying, manipulation, deceit, and all of those types of things. That is not the recipe for success. It may get you what you want in the short term, and it may get you what you want in the long term. But at the end of the day, you've laid a foundation. You've laid a foundation of, you know, your turn is coming. Everybody gets their turn at bat, right? So sit back, relax, y'all, and enjoy the show, right? And check me out. Like Steven, he's denying, right? He's running the compound. Everything that he says and does is carried out to the fullest by the guys. And they respect it. They don't know that he's the snake in the grass. They have no idea that he's a real snake. They have no idea, excuse me, they have no idea that the nine was crossed out. They had no idea that the COS had been crossed out by him. With the help of the administration, they had no clue that these things had taken place. All they know is that he's the one to look to. He's the one that has all the answers to their problems, and he's the one that's feeding them. So everything is fine as far as they're concerned. But what Stephen didn't understand is that he had to be, you know what I'm saying, not only the leader of the whole gangster organization on that compound, he had to be the mediator, the peacemaker, and everything else with all the other gangs on the compound, Vice Lords, Bloods, Crips, Aryan Nations, you name it. He had to have a certain type of relationship with all of these groups because that's the only way he would be able to fulfill what he had promised the administration. Remember, they give him the leeway that he has because they want to maintain peace on the compound. Now, before, he could make promises he didn't necessarily have to keep. Yeah, I'm going to make sure this and make sure that happens. But he didn't have the influence. He didn't have the say so, right? But he could manipulate different situations and achieve his goals. But now, he was that dude. He was that dude. And now he had to make sure not just that the Treasury Department was straight or the Security Department was straight. He had to make sure that the whole compound stayed straight. He had to try to control situations and events that he couldn't necessarily control. So it cost him a lot. He had to go in his pocket a lot and pay individuals to stand down and pay individuals to do things that would allow him to continue to do what he wanted to do. And he got bolder. Remember, he was living with a boy, but he had everybody convinced that he was living with the boy because the boy would hold his drugs and things like that. And if something went wrong, he would take the charge, things like that. And I'm not saying that those things didn't happen, but the boy wasn't in the cell for that. We already have established what the boy was in the cell for. Coochie, coochie, coo. You understand what I'm saying? But here, check it out. Here's the thing. Now, when you get that top spot, on the compound, you get to feeling yourself. So now, he's not as careful with what he says and what he does in regards to his living situation. So people are starting to talk. Rumors are starting to float around that there's more going on than this boy holding the pack. So now, to squash those rumors, he has to run back where? To the administration. The individuals that within his own ranks that are talking, he would get rid of with the help of the administration. But he couldn't get rid of everybody. He couldn't get rid of the Vice Lords. He couldn't get rid of the Bloods and the Crips and the Aryan Nation and the other organizations. He couldn't get rid of all the peons that were starting to whisper. He couldn't do it. One thing about the penitentiary, y'all, rumors run wild in here. Doesn't have to be true, but it's going to run wild. But if it is true, oh my God. But here's the thing on that. Rumors in one penitentiary are not contained by that fence that surrounds that penitentiary. People write letters. People have grudges. And remember what I told you about the business becoming cannibalistic? Well, here's an example of it. Because now you have brothers that are writing brothers in other positions of authority at other prisons and letting them know that there's something going on with Stephen. People are talking. And what that does, let me explain to you why that's important. Because people can do what they want to do, as far as I'm concerned. You know what I'm saying? You have to live with that. But what that does in this lifestyle that he's living, that I've lived, people look at that as a sign of weakness. It undermines that fear, that big chested thing that a lot of people want to assume that all gangsters have. It undermines that. Why is that? People assume, wrongly so, because I've seen some dudes that, you know what I'm saying, get down and suck, lick, whatever they do. You feel what I'm saying? I've seen some dudes that can get down. They got hands. But it's still this belief that if you're doing that, that you're weak. If you're doing that, you shouldn't be in charge. If you're doing that, you can't be a gangster. It's rules against this thing. So because he became so arrogant, he forgot that. He forgot that. It's not a situation where gangsters and any other organization don't say, you know, you can't be gay. What they say is that you can't be gay and be in this. That's what they say. That glass ceiling, so to speak, hadn't been broken yet, openly anyway, because we all know what's going on. You feel me now? We all know. I'm telling you now. And those that'll tell you that ain't nobody that gay within the ranks is lying to you. I'm telling you now. They lying. In the penitentiary and out. They just keep it on the low because they know the risk. But those brothers that Stephen was putting in play, the COS and the treasurer, they were obligated to him because they were just as dirty. You know how it go. You know what I'm saying? You when you in the lifestyle, everybody got to take the gun and shoot the body. Now we all locked in. Can't nobody say nothing about nothing. You can't say nothing about him, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with boys, and he ain't going to say nothing about you, you know what I'm saying, getting high. You feel me? He ain't going to say nothing about you for lying and snitching as long as you don't say nothing about him. That's just how it goes. It's a trade-off on information. And that's how the organization moves forward. But that's dangerous because when you get somebody that's so-called pure, and when I say pure, I mean somebody that believes in GD up and down by the letter of the law, no ifs, ands, and buts, no cutting corners. You got to worry about them because they'll start to use that to tear you down. And they got the authority of the law behind them. And that's what was going on with Stephen. He ran up against this guy that was relatively young like him, but he believed in the business by the letter of the law. So when he heard about the rumors, he tried to investigate it. And he got to the boy. And the boy, being as arrogant as Stephen, wasn't minding his mouth. And he told a gangster, if you keep asking questions about what me and Stephen are doing, you're going to find yourself like all the rest of them on the bus. So his antennas went up. Whoa, wait a minute, what does that mean? Now, this young brother go back to some of the guys and he said, look, he threatened me and said if I keep on asking these questions, I'm going to find myself on the bus. What does he mean by that? Then they started to think about, all of a sudden, the issue came up about the COS. All of a sudden, the issue came up about the 9. Everybody was still baffled at what happened with them and why they got shipped and how they got shipped so fast. But nobody could even fantasize on the wildest levels that he could even get that done. How do you do that? How can a gangster get another gangster shipped? You ain't got that kind of power. You can complain to the administration all you want. You can't get nobody shipped unless you in business with them. So now, this young brother, he's writing letters. He's writing letters to the other folks all over, saying something is wrong here. This individual here, if this stuff is true, then we got problems. But then he started to get letters back on the hush-hush from board members, telling them, look, if you can't prove this stuff, you need to keep your mouth shut until you can. Because there ain't no bringing up no bogus stuff, because if you bring up some bogus stuff against the 9, you're going to get dealt with. Just a warning to him. But they told him, keep looking on the low and let us know. Now he knows he got some lukewarm support. Right? Got lukewarm support from a board member to keep looking, to keep trying to figure out what's going on. Because people are asking questions. Now, here's the thing. Nobody's understanding or knowing why these questions are being asked. But here's the thing. IA got wind of it. You got to watch them. Because you never know when they reading your mail. You never know. So they bump down on Stephen. They tell him, look, we might have to ship you. He panics. Why? I've done everything that you asked me to do. And they told him, this is going to be for your own good. This is a strategic move. If you move now, you feel what I'm saying? And if you request to move and give up this spot and go do what you do somewhere else, we'll make sure you're straight somewhere else. That's what they told him. Then you can quash all of these rumors. You just got to start over at the other institution. So that's what he did. He put in for a transfer and he went to one of the toughest prisons in the state. I ain't going to call the name of it, but any of you that's been locked up in Tennessee, you know what it was. It's several different ones, but you pick one. I'm not going to tell you which one because you might start figuring out who I'm talking about. But they know. But here's the thing. When he did get to this other place, he started his same old shenanigans. He didn't immediately start looking for no boy, but he was so wrapped up in that he thought he had to have it. But he did get within the ranks, and everybody liked him. He was smart. He did his thing. So he helped out a lot. So again, he started helping the treasurer. They didn't appoint him to work with the treasurer. He just started helping the treasurer because that's what he was good at. He's trying to find a way in, y'all. That's how it goes. But they had already been told about it. So they just watched him. They welcomed him into the ranks, but they watched him. And he did help out the treasurer, and he did get some things straight, and they started making money. So some of the same connections that he had, on the streets, he started to use those same connections within the org at this new institution that he was at. And while he was at this new institution, he was doing his thing. And at the end of the day, the money that was being made, everybody was benefiting from it. But they didn't want to give him a position because they was concerned that some of this stuff might be true. Some of this stuff might be true about him. What do you do? What do you do if it's true? Nobody was sure. So Stephen, he bought his time. He bided his time. Bided his time. He waited in the cut patiently until one day they really did need him. But he told them, I don't want it. I don't want it. He plays the long game, y'all. I don't want it. I don't want the spot. But then there was a boy. It was this boy that was cool with the folks. They sent him at him. Stephen wasn't stupid. He peeped the game. But this is what he told the boy. Look here. I know they sent you. But I know you really want to do it too. Next thing you know, the boy done turned on the folks and they sneaking again because the boy gonna do what the boy gonna do. So he's sneaking and geeking with the boy. And then the boy turns him on to guess who? Female officers. Oh my God. For real. Because you know them boys, they stay cool with these women. So he turned them on to these female officers. And Stephen wasn't a bad looking dude. Now keep in mind, what I want you to understand is Stephen had never been with a woman. Never. So when he turns them on to these female officers, they're looking at him like he's a boy too. So he's no threat. He's no threat to them. He don't want no coochie. You feel me? You know, I don't know what they talk about when they get together. You know what I'm saying? It's not my bag. But anyway, he's talking to these females and he started to realize he's attracted to them too. And they look at him like he's not a bad looking dude. You feel what I'm saying? They're with it, you know. So guess what happens? He ends up with one of the females and he likes it. Now he's starting to question some things about himself. But this ended up helping him because the word got around that he's got offers of such and such. Now people starting to doubt the rumors because the boy that know the folks ain't turned on him either. So now his secret is solidified with the family. You know what I'm saying? With the boy, because the family believe in all. He can't be doing that and got this, and nobody's turned on him yet, and they don't know to turn on him. But he won't take a position. But this boy's reputation, this Stephen's reputation throughout the state was so intact that he was so smart with that money, that he was so smart, you know what I'm saying, with the decisions that need to be made about the family, that he continued to be called upon in a respectful way. He continued to be called on in a respectful way. And when I heard about it, when I started to hear about it, I was like, man, he's smart because that's what I do. I dealt with money. I was like, yeah, that's what's up. We corresponded a few times. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, look, just keep doing you. But I know how the business is. It's cutthroat. And he was surviving where others were not. That's what he was doing. So for the next 10 years, Stephen went to several different prisons, solidifying, you know, his name, his reputation, and he got put in a position. Now, let me tell you something about taking over, about becoming a leader in the organization. The main ingredient is being prepared for the opportunity that's going to come. It's all about timing. It's all about timing. If enough people know about you, inside and outside of prison, and a position opens up, they're going to start asking who is qualified, who is respected. That's the main thing above the qualification, y'all. Who's respected by the majority of the fam? Who's got a good name with the majority of the fam? And for the next 10 years, like I said, from the time he left that first institution till, you know, before he got ascended, he had cleaned everything up. He still messed around with boys, but he also messed around with women too. And everybody knew his name. Popular dude, good dude, solid dude, as far as everybody knew. Because when you're talking about GD, when they say somebody's solid and good and honest and all this and that, it's a totally different set of rules. See, saying somebody's an honest gangster is different than saying somebody's an honest citizen in the street. See, an honest citizen in the street is going to be somebody that's trustworthy, is going to tell the truth and going make sure the neighborhood is safe, this and that. An honest gangster is somebody that lives by GD rules. You understand what I'm saying? That don't mean telling the truth all the time. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. GD has a different set of rules that they live by, a different set of guidelines that make you solid. And if you solid by those rules, you most definitely not going to be, in most cases, solid by civilian rules. You feel what I'm saying? The world rules. What goes on in the real world? Nah. What makes a good gangster don't make for a good public citizen, y'all. Remember that. What makes a good gangster don't make for a good public citizen. That's the contradiction that most people don't get. Now let me tell you something. This is what went down. Stephen, by now, they got cell phones in the penitentiary, y'all. Keep that in mind. So Stephen is asked to participate in a conference call all over the state. We got an issue with the head G of the state. It's going down. This brother was trying to he was trying to consolidate his power base. See, you got the G of the state, in the penitentiary, and then you got the same thing that's over the streets, right? Two separate things going on, right? One can't be both. You feel what I'm saying? You can't be over the penitentiaries and the streets or vice versa. But the brother that was in the penitentiary, he wasn't hearing that. He was just as ambitious as Stephen. And he was trying to consolidate, and he was having people knocked off out there. Some things was going on, for real. Some things was going on, and he got caught. And the call came down, because then one thing about GD, everybody's subordinate to somebody. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's subordinate to the chairman and their governing body. And when them brothers found out what was going on, they made some decisions. He got to go. I'm talking about the G of the state. He can't have that spot and keep doing what he's doing. So the decision was made. Now the spot is blank. It's vacated. Stephen's name came up as a possible candidate. He's put in work. He's in his 30s now. Everybody know him. You know what I'm saying? He's had some sketchy incidents in his past. But everybody looking at him now like he that dude. He can make it work. Smart. Know how to get money. All of that kind of stuff. Everybody ain't going to be 100% liked. But he was liked by most. But he didn't get the spot. He didn't get that top spot. So, look, I'm going to tell you. He's getting close, but he ain't got that top spot yet. So y'all check me out. Tune into the next episode, I'm going to tell you, because it's finna happen. He's finna get what he wants, but he don't even understand that what he wants is not what he needs. But he's getting ready to get it. So y'all stay tuned. Don't go nowhere, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to these episodes. Tune in tomorrow because it's going down. And I'm going to let you know how this thing continues to move forward, right? But before I go, again, check out the new book me and Boo got coming out called Rivals, right? It's about a father and son that was in opposite gangs. It's based on the episodes that I did a long time ago about a father and son that was in rival gangs. They end up going at each other, right? This thing really breaks down the generational gang violence that a lot of people have to deal with in their families. You feel what I'm saying? It's a good book. It's a good read. So check it out. You know what I'm saying? It's available at jtb3.org. You know what I'm saying? On Boo's website, right? Y'all know what it is. So check that out. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Brother. Host Straight Baker. And I say peace, y'all.